Well, it's Monday, and that means that even if you hadn't looked at the news for the last 24 hours, you could go ahead and pretty much guess that Rudy Giuliani had said something really stupid on these Sunday morning talk shows, which in fact he did. He said two really stupid things, actually. And let's go ahead and start with the most obvious, the one that everybody is talking about. The truth isn't truth claim that Giuliani made. Here's the clip of that.
You believe this is on them, that you would have, that you guys have not delayed the interviewing, delayed the negotiations with Mr.
Yes,
Mueller.
each time by 3 or 4 days so we could write a letter in response. They have taken 2 to 3 weeks to get back to us. So what I have to tell you is, look, I'm not going to be rushed into having him testify so that he gets trapped into perjury. And when you tell me that, he should testify because he's going to tell the truth and he shouldn't worry, well, that's so silly because it's somebody's version of the truth, not the truth. He didn't have a conversation.
Truth is truth. I don't mean to go like...
No, it isn't truth. Truth isn't truth. The President of the United States says, I didn't...
Truth isn't truth. Mr. Mayor, do you realize what...
No.
This is going to become a bad meme.
Don't do this to me.
Don't do truth isn't truth to me.
All right, so Giuliani did attempt to backtrack a little later on Twitter, saying that what I really meant was... it's the he said, she said type thing, like this is one person's truth, this is the other person's truth. And that's what I was trying to get across there. Giuliani still, even in his explanation and further on in that actual interview, doesn't seem to understand that, no, the truth does not change from person to person. The truth is the truth. And then you have a bunch of people who are lying about what actually happened, and that's what he's worried about with his client. He basically stated as much in that statement. Trump's going to say one thing, the other guy said this, and, the truth isn't always the truth. No, you're worried that your client is going to go sit down with Robert Mueller, perjure himself, which you freely admitted in that interview, and then get popped for that because your client can't tell the truth. But as you claim, truth isn't truth. That's your defense at this point. Truth is always the truth. I mean, that is what most criminal prosecutions and trials are about. Which side is telling the truth? Is the defendant telling the truth by saying they didn't do the thing? Or is the prosecution telling the truth when they say that the defendant did do the thing? That is exactly what trials are all about, finding out who is telling the truth. Not which truth is true, but who's telling the truth, because the truth doesn't change. But see, while most people were kind of focused on that part, because it is wildly stupid and corrupt and reminds you of George Orwell, by focusing only on that, you miss the part where Giuliani 100% admitted that Kushner, Don Jr., and Paul Manafort committed a crime. Here is exactly, I'm going to read you this quote of what Giuliani said. This was during that same Meet the Press interview with Chuck Todd. Here it is. The meeting was originally for the purpose of getting information about Clinton. That was the original intention of the meeting. It turned out to be a meeting about another subject and it was not pursued at all. And of course, any meeting with regards to getting information on your opponent is something any candidate staff would take. He just admitted these dudes colluded, or at least attempted to. And he used a word in that sentence that absolutely can secure a conviction against any one of those three. And that word is intention. Because when you're looking at something, legally speaking, to determine whether or not a crime was committed or whether or not a crime was going to be committed, they look for intent. That simple little word, intent. He just admitted that it was their intention to get dirt on Hillary Clinton from these people who, according to the emails that Don Jr. released himself, admitted that this was part of the Russian government's effort to aid the Trump campaign. This guy just sent Don Jr., Jared Kushner, and Paul Manafort up the river with this one statement. And yet everybody was so focused on the truth isn't truth part of it that they missed this massive bombshell. This kind of seals the deal on it. I mean, even an unskilled prosecutor would be able to secure a conviction with the opposition's attorney out there saying, yeah, it was their intent to go do this, but they didn't end up they weren't able to end up doing it after all. If your intent is to go and rob a store or to murder someone, but you end up not doing it like once you get there, you've still committed a felony in both instances and you will still go to jail. It's the attempted collusion, attempted robbery, attempted murder. Yeah, as long as it was your intent, as you say it is, Giuliani, they're still going down. So good job. Please, by all means, continue doing these disastrous interviews, because every time you open your mouth, you give us a little more insight into how corrupt this entire family and administration truly is.